Weather Service in Raleigh. It's Nick Petro with your Monday morning weekly briefing for Central North Carolina. And this briefing covers the period today through Sunday through the 14th of January. So jumping right into this briefing here, and here's a satellite radar combo. Let me turn off the temperatures here. A couple things I'll point out, and using my spotlight here. First, we have some high clouds moving across, not a big deal, and we'll have dry weather today. This big swirl you see here in the middle of the country, that's the next weather maker for Central North Carolina, and you can see showers and storms are already breaking out across the southern plains into the lower Mississippi Valley, Texas region, and clearly with the southerly flow and warming ahead of it and the jet energy coming in behind it, that's going to set the stage for a severe weather episode to our west today. So in fact, if I turn on the Storm Prediction Center outlook, severe weather outlook, and turn off the satellite and radar, you can see clearly the severe weather risk is across the deep south and northern Gulf Coast and southern Tennessee and Mississippi valleys in East Texas there. All of that is going to shift eastward tomorrow and be a weather problem for us. Okay, so let's go back to the slides here, just kind of jumping right into the overall pattern, and then we'll get into the details about what we're going to expect tomorrow. But for the big picture pattern, so the what you see there for later today, that's a weather problem for the areas that will see severe weather later today. And Tuesday in the upper right, you could see severe storms. Can't rule out tornadoes, flash flooding, even non-thunderstorm high winds are all going to be possible tomorrow, particularly late in the day and tomorrow night, Tuesday night. So even outside of thunderstorms, there's going to be some windy conditions. We do have a wind advisory for Central North Carolina, but the emphasis is severe storms and just the windy conditions outside of storms. Those severe storm or windy conditions rather for the wind advisory are mainly late in the day and tomorrow night. Okay, then and then Friday it will be our next weather maker, and we'll possibly have another round of severe weather on Friday. In between that, we're expecting quiet weather Wednesday and Thursday, and then that second round of severe weather late in the week. And then finally, behind that system, we'll get some colder air in here over the weekend, and it'll be breezy and windy there on the weekend. And that Monday and Tuesday down the lower right should in fact say this weekend. So you can, just for clarification, so nobody's confused, there you have it. That actually is for this weekend. All right. So getting into more of the details for tomorrow's event. What you see there in the tan area, that's wind advisory. So that means non-thunderstorm winds, just windy conditions overall. And that wind could be anytime tomorrow, but especially late in the day tomorrow evening and tomorrow night behind the system. So those 3 bullet points I want to point out are the 3 main impacts of this event. Number 1, widespread heavy rain, gusty winds, the threat for a few tornadoes, and damaging winds. Storm total rainfall tomorrow through tomorrow night will range from 1.5 inches to 2 inches, highest in the western Piedmont. So that could lead to some minor both flash flooding and perhaps even river flooding subsequently. So our confidence is pretty high in this event. I mean, this storm system has already developed, and now it's just a matter of tracking it across the center of the country and moving to the southeast. So pretty high confidence on this particular event. All right, so timing for tomorrow's severe weather about 2 to 10 o'clock late day, and again there could be a few tornadoes and damaging straight line wind gusts. Those are the main threats. Okay, damaging straight line wind gusts and a few tornadoes. Again, anytime between 2 and 10 p.m. tomorrow. In terms of those non-thunderstorm winds, so not associated with those tornadic storms, not associated with the squall lines, but outside of that activity, we're expecting 20 to 30 mile per hour sustained winds Tuesday and Tuesday night, with gusts to 40 to 45 possible. And you can see the strongest gusts are expected in the southern Piedmont Sandhills and southern coastal plain area. You can see that on the map on the right. And that's particularly late in the day, those non-thunderstorm winds and late into or heading into the overnight hours Tuesday night. Okay. And then finally, the rain. The graphic on the left is the rain amount. So we're expecting upwards of 2 inches across the Triad down towards the eastern suburbs of the Charlotte metro area, Stanley and Anson counties there. But then as you head east, heavy rainfall is still expected, maybe not quite as much, maybe more like an inch and a half, inch to inch and 3/4 across the US 1 corridor heading towards into the triangle. And then as we head east of I-95, more like an inch and a half, maybe an inch and a quarter. So, but that rain, a lot of it's going to fall in a short period of time, could result in localized flash flooding. Again, when it comes to flash flooding, it really what drives flash flooding is the rainfall rates and the intensity. So rainfall amounts don't even need to be this high to cause flash flooding. The driver for that is just the heavy downpours, which we will see tomorrow. But rainfall amounts of 1.5 inches to 2 inches could result in subsequent river flooding in the subsequent days. And the image on the right shows the areas where we think have the best chance for river flooding, which is the Rocky River there near Norwood is probably the highest risk of flash flooding, or not flooding, river flooding, I should say, as well as all the other main stem rivers, the Neuse, the Haw, perhaps even the Tar up toward Rocky Mount and maybe the Cape Fear. We'll see how that all plays out, but river flooding is definitely a possibility. Okay, so those describe the elements of tomorrow's severe weather threat. Okay, so looking further down the road, you can see there's this graphic here is the rainfall totals, basically showing that today you see the green there, but that's really not expected until tonight. That green you see for today is more indicative of tonight's early tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow's rain you can see is in the upper middle, dry Wednesday and Thursday. And then the next round of storms on Friday may not deliver quite as much rain as today. It might have a little less, but still very impactful. So when you look at the 5-day totals, we're talking 2.5 inches or more across the western half of the state, and 1.5 inches to maybe 2.5 inches across the eastern half of the state. So certainly needed rain, but unfortunately, we don't want it to come all at one time, but it's definitely going to be a wet week. Okay, what days this week are going to be our severe weather days? Clearly tomorrow. Now, look at the orange. You'll notice south and east of Raleigh is in the enhanced, which means numerous severe storms are possible, more persistent and widespread, perhaps even a few intense, a few tornadoes, severe reports, several reports of wind damage. So those are the main concerns there in the orange area. And then, of course, slight and marginal to the west, even back towards the Triad, there could be a isolated severe storm or two. So tomorrow is the worst of the days this week. Although, look at Friday. The yellow you see on Friday doesn't necessarily correspond to the 2 slight risk that you see in the legend. I want to make that clear that the yellow you see on Friday just is more of a broader paintbrush of what areas could see possible severe weather. As we get into later in the week, we'll be able to refine that graphic for Friday. Okay, in terms of the excessive rainfall outlooks, flash flooding potential, again, as I mentioned, these downpours could be pretty heavy, and it's the downpours and rainfall rates that drive that flash flooding. So obviously, there's a risk for scattered flash floods tomorrow. And this is, we've been featuring this graphic here for the last couple of weeks, and if there's one thing that you check every day, I would suggest bookmarking this website and checking it out, because this at a glance can give you a sense of which days this week are the hazard days and which days are low impact weather days. And clearly there's all the hazards listed from top to bottom on the left. Clearly today is not a hazardous weather day. Thursday's not a hazardous weather day. But clearly Tuesday, you see a lot of red, and red means a significant possibility of severe weather, such as severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, thunderstorm winds, and so on. Lightning obviously is possible, and you can see there's an elevated risk of excessive rainfall and just non-thunderstorm risks tomorrow. You'll notice that non-thunderstorm wind carries into Wednesday morning, so the wind advisory carries into the overnight hours into Wednesday morning. And then look again on Friday. Friday you'll notice is orange, which means there's another risk for severe thunderstorms that day, as well as lightning, rain, and wind. So those are our two main periods of weather. And after this briefing, for folks who are able to stick around, I'll go into a little more detail of how to interpret and use this weather outlook. All right, looking further down the road, it looks like the middle fourth of January is going to turn colder. Okay, so looks like the latter half of the month may end up turning colder on us. The odds are pretty high of that. And then we're not really tilting one way or the other in terms of precipitation. Right now, we're sort of in the equal chances for above, below, or normal. Okay, so January is turning out to be quite a busy weather month. So anyway, we'll see how that plays out. All right, so to kind of wrap this up, quiet weather today. Tomorrow, severe storms, tornadoes, flooding, high winds outside of the thunderstorms. All of those are possible tomorrow and tomorrow late in the day and at night. Quiet weather Wednesday and Thursday, and then another round of severe storms, heavy rain possible Friday and Friday night. Breezy and turning colder this weekend, but dry. Okay, so, you know, it goes without saying that residents across central North Carolina should be prepared for these upcoming weather hazards. Make sure you know where to seek shelter tomorrow. Plan that out. Have a way to get warnings. Know where your shelters are. If a warning is issued for your area, if you see or hear threatening weather approaching. Remember, never drive through areas where water covers the roadway. And then we'll have to have similar preparedness efforts for Friday. So that is the end of my prepared briefing for Central North Carolina and this hazardous weather events this week.